Tell me in your own words, what exactly is mindfulness?
Mindfulness is a very powerful mind-body science tool that is thousands of years old, that was hardly being practiced or hardly acknowledged in the Western world for the sheer potential power it has to calm the mind, to keep the mind balanced, to keep the mind presently aware or aware of the present moment with a certain equanimity, with balance, with depth of insight, being able to accept and things as it is. And so mindfulness then is paying attention with a calm mind to the present moment without judging, without reacting. It is the awareness that comes out of paying attention without reacting, without judging.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an intention also to pay attention and to keep the mind calm through the ups and downs of life. When you understand that nothing is permanent, everything arises and passes away.
Mm-hmm.
So that whatever challenges one meets in life, whether it is wholesome or unwholesome, we see the reality for what it is, accept it, and move on. So it gives a very clarity of mind, a depth of insight, and it produces very profound physical benefits. Decreased anxiety, depression, stress levels. It addresses all of those kinds of issues, because many of these issues or these experiences in life originate in how people interpret things. It is deep in the mind. What we see outside is actually what is happening inside.
Yeah, I want to read an excerpt from the article in just a bit, but let's zoom in.
That's the article that I wrote.
The article that you wrote on mindfulness.
I've written a number of articles, some in the Mandala.
It blew my mind. Now, is mindfulness the same as meditation?
Mindfulness is a form of meditation. It brings the kind of awareness and equanimity, and in fact, people use that interchangeably in our Western world. It is a part of meditation, yes.
Okay, let's talk about
I just wanted to say it is thousands of years old, proven science of the mind. It is non-sectarian, non-religious, even though it originates in Buddhist tradition. It is non-sectarian, anybody could practice it. Whatever age, it is not restricted to any religion. Breath is breath. If we do the practice, there's no Christian breath or Buddhist breath or Muslim breath. It focuses on getting the mind to pay attention to the present moment. And in fact, it could strengthen people's faith and deepen their understanding of the faith that they have.
Right. You made reference to this practice. I will paraphrase. In the article, you mentioned that hurt from the past could be transitioned or brought over to another generation. Issues that we go through, like let's say my parents or my grandparents struggled with a certain level of stress, right? Depression. That could be passed on to the next generation. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Let's expound on that a bit.
Well, first let me say that all the abuse, the anger, the hatred, the greed, the violence, the crime that we're seeing in society, these are only expressions of individual mind states that are expressed in the collective. So every hurt person will pass on pain to another and could affect other persons for life. So what we're seeing in our society in Belize, all this unwholesome behavior, all this negativity, these are spillovers or expressions of what people are going through internally. So I argue that no number of police or no number of external interventions will address the issue deeply if we do not look at violence and crime and all of these as people who are hurt and are in need of healing. So when we traumatize or re-traumatize people, we are producing more of the same. We're producing more violence, more abuse, more crime, all of these things. And therefore, we need to take a deeper look at what we're doing, and we need to engage people at a different level. We cannot expect something different if we're producing and doing the same thing. And so mindfulness is a key tool to begin to heal society. In fact, a lot of enlightened persons have said that if we train young people in mindfulness practice, within one generation, you will see a drastic reduction in all of these unwholesome behavior, because they will learn to regulate their emotions, they will understand what they're going through. Without mindfulness, people react. When they
overreact.
And overreact. But with mindfulness, when there's a stimulus, there's a space for reflection and deeper level thinking, if we may say, and awareness and equanimity, and they could choose to respond. So it's not stimulus reaction, but stimulus, mindfulness, response.
Can mindfulness heal physically, heal or damage the body? I'm sorry, can a lack of mindfulness damage the body, and can mindfulness heal the body?
I would say that it is this mindless living that is causing people from disconnecting with themselves, a lack of love for themselves, the disconnect with others, a lack of respect, for example, disconnect with the consequences of their action on others, because it's mindless. Not only on others, but even in nature. When we see all of this pollution, we have garbage in the ocean, for example, the size of Texas here, or even greater. And we just keep doing the same things individually and collectively, for example. We're destroying the forest, we're destroying animals, we're very destructive. All of these are some of the impacts of mindlessness and mindless behavior. So we need to return to that consciousness where people could see ahead. If I do this, these are the likely consequences of my actions. Mm-hmm. Every cause has an effect, even transgenerational. People could hurt others, and those others who grew up in that pain could continue to hurt other people. Mm-hmm. And that is dangerous, and that is how society continues. And we need an injection of new strategies to heal society, and mindfulness is a key tool for that.
Let's say I say I'm a normal individual.
You're a brilliant individual.
I'm educated, right? Hypothetically speaking,
yeah.
I'm educated. I went to this university. I have no use for mindfulness. What would you say to a person like me?
I always remember this story that was shared by one of my teachers, my meditation teachers. There was this professor with a string of letters behind his name who was crossing a lake with a fisherman. And so he feeling important, he asked the fisherman, "Do you know oceanography?" And the fisherman said, "Well, I don't know about that, sir." And the poor fisherman, and the professor told the fisherman, "Well, you wasted your life. You should have known that. You're crossing the sea every time and you don't know oceanography." And the poor fisherman felt so depressed. After all, this was a well-known professor. And the professor, not to be outdone, continued as they were traveling along, asked the fisherman, "Do you know astronomy?" And the fisherman said, "No, sir, what is that?" And the professor told him, "Well, you wasted all your life. You're here, you don't know about the stars." And so as they were traveling, this poor depressed fisherman, because of the arrogance of the professor who's been to schools, has a lot of strings of letters behind the name. So they hit a rock, and the fisherman asked the professor, "Sir, do you know swimology?" And the professor said, "Well, I didn't study that in school." And therefore the fisherman said, "Well, you've lost all your life because this boat is sinking." So
that's a good one.
There's a difference between an accumulation of knowledge and wisdom. There's a lot of people who walk about with their specialized accumulation of knowledge, but they really hardly know about life, the values of life, how to live, how to handle the vicissitudes of life, the ups and downs of life. And so they just live kind of in their heads, and their bodies transporting their heads, but very disconnected people. And it is a pity, because sometimes people in that get the feeling that they know it all, and then they're not open to learning new things, and so their lives could be miserable, unfulfilled, because of the constraint that they put on themselves.
Right. It seems from reading the article you wrote, mindfulness, from my understanding, I think relationships within society, without this practice, could be damaged and irreparable. With mindfulness, we could have better relationships at home, with our families, our spouse, at school. Let's talk about how in your experience, you've taught this practice. How do you see this practice benefiting families, couples? How do you see it?
Well, it has to start with the individual. When an individual is transformed, all who interact with him I can't put all who interact with him, but when someone is transformed, it is a big step to changing what society is like. We change society with individuals. When we have individuals who grow up in mindlessness, they could cause tremendous damage to society. They could become world leaders who are mindless. That threatens the world. Individuals.
Let me if you don't mind.
Yeah.
When you say mindless, I mean, I understand the word itself, but I'm listening to you. I think it carries a different meaning, or more to the general definition, so to speak. Define that for me. Mindlessness.
The lack of awareness of self, the lack of awareness of the consequences of one's behavior, and therefore they generate the same unwholesome behavior that produces more and more negativity, destruction, to self, to others, to families, to society. So that lack of awareness of the consequences of their action, even though that action is dangerous and destructive to themselves and others. It could even be the food one eats. One knows that this is destructive to oneself, and they continue to use that over and over, for example, even to the point of addiction and beyond, or the lack of awareness of the words that one say to others and that cause harm, and does it over and over. The lack of awareness of the consequences of greed and corruption to society. The lack of awareness of violent thought and action to family, to spouse. All of these are examples of mindlessness. So not being aware of it. And even if there is awareness, there is no alignment between behavior and that awareness of the consequences of the action.
I want to read an excerpt from this article. All over Belize are people who live in emotional pain, irritation, anger, jealousy, unresolved conflicts, and stress. For whatever reason, we all experience these emotions and disharmony from time to time. some far more than others. The problem is that when a person suffers from these miseries, he or she spreads them around to others they come in contact with, including family members, co-workers, students, teachers, managers, supervisors, and even friends. When someone is miserable, the negative energy that he or she radiates through the surroundings causes tension that affects others. The more these negative emotions are suppressed, the more there is tension, stress, and misery that sometimes erupt into outbursts of fury and violence.
You know, when we look at human behavior, if we were to draw human behavior as an analogy to an iceberg, what we're seeing in humanity, the way they behave, is just the tip of the iceberg. All of that, whatever people do, is motivated, has an internal driver system based on their values, based on the kinds of experiences that they've had, their formation. That is I would say the bulk is underneath that we do not see. So people who are in difficult situations, on unresolved emotions, in pain, will only produce pain. People can only produce what is within, what they have, what is accumulated within. So if they're happy, then they produce happiness. If they're sad and angry, they produce that in their behavior. And so to change society then, we have to look deeper within. Our tendency when we have all these campaigns is to look only at what we're seeing.
Surface.
The surface. So that is why I have argued that that campaigns like 16 Days of Activism against violence, gender-based violence, or people marching against violence and hoping that there will be some external force to come and take care of the violence, it won't happen. What needs to happen is to find ways to address the internal, the emotions, all of those things that people are suffering within, and to find ways to tap into that and to empower people to be able to see that these are things that need to be resolved. These are the tools to be able to address them over time. And that is where I advocate very strongly the practice of mindfulness, which I'm happy that it is already being implemented as part of the teacher training program. There is a training going on that the Ministry of Education is sponsoring for teachers to be able to be qualified to teach mindfulness in schools. So that has started, and I'm really happy that that is, and I know that that is going to make a profound difference.
That's good. Now, how does one become mindful? Where, let's say I'm hearing you, I'm listening, and all this song, it sounds good, right?
Yeah.
Is this a one-time thing? Is this something that you take a class today and you become elated and you become mindful, right, today? How do you keep that up?
It doesn't work like that though. A lot of people get excited when they hear that, oh, there's a mindfulness workshop, and they come out of the workshop and say, wow, this is wonderful. They get these kinds of feelings of peace after practice, and then they stop. To develop mindfulness living needs consistent practice of the art of mindfulness, the art of living. Is not a one-shot thing, and I'll use an analogy of, if you're developing any habit, to sustain it will mean that there has to be constant practice.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot say, well, I learned to brush my teeth to keep it clean and healthy, and then for the rest of the years I will not brush it. I already learned the technique, so I won't brush my teeth. Then you will not get the benefits. Or you cannot say, well, my mother trained me to bathe every day. I learned that, so I will stop bathing for the rest of the year. There's not going to be any benefit. Likewise, with the mindfulness practice, the tool that is given, requires consistent practice to be a habit and part of a regular part of life. That is what makes the difference.
So it's a matter of self-accountability.
Right. And it's a matter of also responsibility for people to be consistent and to have that intention to say, this is going to be a part of my practice every day. And then the results will show in how they carry themselves. The result will show in their awareness, in their relations with others, in the regulation of their emotions, all of these things. And that is why if we start in the school system among youth to build that practice every day, when they become adults, having experienced the benefits of a sharper mind, clarity of attention, being able to regulate their emotions, more positive interactions. When they see that growing up, they could refer and even apply it in their daily lives as adults. That is why in companies right now, Google, Apple, all these huge companies are incorporating mindfulness as part of the training of their staff because they're seeing the benefits of more creativity in the workplace, more harmonious and positive relations at work. The staff they accomplish more in less time because their mind is more focused. They're not carrying the baggage and the distraction of the mind.
Hey everyone, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please click the subscribe button below. I upload videos every Sunday and I go live every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. All the visuals and the videos you see are edited, produced, and designed by Obafo Marketing and Entertainment. So for all your graphic design, brand awareness, and online marketing needs, you may contact obafo.bz or send us a message on Facebook at ObafoENT. Hit that subscribe button and stay connected. See you in another video.